Itsuki was your classic poor, cursed, unlucky pretty boy who worked morning and night like an inmate on a chain gang just to keep the lights on, because his parents, two total washouts, spent their days drinking and gambling like it was their actual profession. Then one day, everything changed when he met a beautiful, sweet, rich girl who was about to smother him in affection every single night. It all kicks off with Itsuki standing right in front of Kyu Academy, one of the top 3 schools in the country. This place is stacked with rich kids only, the kind of school that's churned out prime ministers and CEOs of massive companies. Suddenly, someone yells Hinako's name, and it snaps Itsuki's attention right into place. Hinako looks, as always, gorgeous, a total showstopper, everyone's eyes glued to her. Itsuki clocks pretty fast that she's basically school royalty. Hinako walks up and asks if something's wrong with him, and since nothing actually is, she just casually tells him to walk with her. He falls in line beside her immediately, and every student around them is left wondering who on earth this random guy is. This whole world was a million miles from Itsuki's reality, until yesterday. He'd been grinding under the blazing sun to survive, until his boss told him he could head home. It was his last day at that job, and the paycheck had already hit his account. He said his thanks and bolted straight home. Even though he's still in high school, Itsuki works day and night at a rotating cast of jobs because he's dirt poor, thanks to his parents who only know how to drink and gamble. And he has to cover his own tuition solo. It had always worked out fine, until one particular day. Itsuki got home and didn't even notice his parents were there, figured they were asleep. That night, the two of them slipped out quietly. He noticed, sure, but assumed it was just another one of their bender nights, same as always. Then he found a note on the table. It said, "See ya." Itsuki laughed. What a weird thing for his parents to write. But that's when it hit him. He sprinted to check the bank book, and found nothing. This had to be a joke. His parents had cleaned out his entire savings and skipped town. Itsuki lost every last shred of hope right then and there. He left the house with about $2 in his pocket to scrounge up some food. That's when he crossed paths with a group of girls from the massive Kyu Academy, probably heading home from the entrance ceremony. The same ceremony he was supposed to attend the next day, but now definitely couldn't. The girls said their goodbyes and split off, each heading their own way. Itsuki made such an absurd mental comparison between their lives and his that it felt like they existed in 2 completely different universes. That's when he spotted a student ID card lying on the ground. It belonged to one of the girls. It was Hinako's. He called out to return it, and when she turned around with that stunning look on her face, Itsuki felt like he'd been yanked clean out of his own world. Out of nowhere, a black car rolled up, and 2 guys jumped out. They grabbed Hinako and tied her up. Itsuki tried to step in, but ended up getting snatched right along with her. When they arrived wherever they were taking them, Itsuki immediately warned the kidnappers that his parents wouldn't be able to pay a dime. The thug just told him to shut up. Nobody was even after him in the first place. The guy must have racked up some serious bad karma in a past life, because in one single day he got abandoned by his parents and kidnapped. The kidnappers were digging through info on Hinako. Turns out she's the heir to the Konohana family. There was basically no better target out there. Itsuki heard that and looked at Hinako like she was some modern-day princess, gorgeous and impossibly refined on top of it. Hinako got his attention to let him know she needed to use the bathroom. For Itsuki, this is a pretty terrifying situation to navigate, but, well, even a modern-day princess is still human, right? Things get worse when she makes it crystal clear she's about to have an accident right there if she doesn't go soon. Itsuki tells her to hold it a little longer, but Hinako insists she's going to wet herself completely. So he decides to dump this problem straight onto the kidnappers. They walk her to the bathroom and she comes back saying she feels so much lighter. Hinako turns out to be nothing like the person Itsuki pictured at first. Even the kidnapper turns to his boss and asks if this girl is actually rich, because she's acting so clumsy and awkward. She asks the kidnappers for tea and snacks. Like she hasn't even registered that she's been kidnapped. She's that clueless. The kidnapper hands her a water bottle, but Hinako insists on tea instead. He gets fed up and tells Itsuki to deal with her himself. Itsuki is not thrilled about this at all. Hinako spills the entire bottle trying to drink from it, claiming she's just not used to plastic bottles. Itsuki offers to help, but she hesitates, thinking he's trying to steal the bottle from her. He makes it very clear he has zero interest in stealing water, and even calls her a pain in the neck. In the end, he grabs the bottle, except there's a huge puddle on the floor now, so he tells Hinako to step back. She somehow manages to trip over absolutely nothing and faceplant on the ground. This time, even Itsuki can't help but laugh. Hinako gets up with a tiny scrape on her forehead. Nothing serious. The two start chatting a bit, and she asks why he got kidnapped too. It's because he just wanted to return her student ID. Hinako takes the card back, clicks it in her hand, and says help will show up eventually. She decides to take a nap and asks to use Itsuki's lap as a pillow, all whiny about it. He is not even remotely thrilled. This girl is just as clueless as she is gorgeous. Hinako lies down on his lap and leaves him totally flustered by gushing about how comfortable it is. She asks for a lullaby, except Itsuki doesn't know a single one. So she settles for asking for a funny story instead. One of the kidnappers is on the phone, clearly stressed out, while Itsuki just sits there marveling at how she can fall asleep in a situation like this. Somehow, though, it ends up calming him down too. The kidnapper throws something toward the two of them, yelling into the phone that if he doesn't get an answer right now, he's going to start hitting Hinako. Itsuki stands up, ready to shield her with his own body. Hinako asks why he'd even do that. The truth is, Itsuki doesn't have much left to lose. His future's already bleak no matter what happens, so he figures he might as well protect someone while he can. But all he actually says out loud is, "I don't know, not really sure." She tells him he's a good person, and that he smells like a futon that's been sitting out in the sun. Hard to tell if that's actually a compliment. Hinako mentions that, unlike every other caretaker she's ever had, Itsuki acts relaxed around her. The others were always way too formal. With him, she actually feels comfortable, and she likes that. The two properly introduce themselves. Hinako is basically cupping his face, about to say, "You're going to be my..." except the sentence never gets to finish. The rescue team crashes in. They tackle the kidnappers to the ground, and Itsuki too. Someone reports to the commander, Shizune, that they've caught a third kidnapper. Weird, since intel said there were only two. Hinako calls out to Shizune and explains that Itsuki isn't a criminal at all. Shizune is Hinako's caretaker. She apologizes for how long the rescue took. Apparently, it's Hinako's own responsibility to check in whenever she wants to go out. Annoying rule for her, sure, but the consequence of skipping it is getting kidnapped. Shizune says everything's ready for them to head home, but before that, Hinako points at Itsuki and flatly says, "I want him." Shizune naturally goes along with what Hinako wants and gets everything arranged. Shizune, Hinako, and Itsuki are now in the car, heading toward the Konohana estate. The caretaker can't help admiring how Hinako acts around this boy, but she's already figured out exactly what's going on. Shizune tells him he needs to talk to someone. That's exactly where they're headed. She checks her phone and mentions his background check just came back. She starts rattling off a bunch of information about his life, uncovering things he didn't even know himself. Itsuki is supposed to start his second year at Ryugu High tomorrow, except since he never paid tuition, he's not enrolled anymore. And there's more. Rent and utility bills are overdue too. He's about to lose his house on top of everything. The poor guy's situation just keeps sinking. Shizune offers him a job, working for Hinako. Itsuki panics. He doesn't want to become anyone's maid. Shizune clarifies that's not it. Maybe he'll be more of a butler. Except, that's not quite it either, apparently. She gives him one dead serious warning. If he does anything inappropriate with Hinako, she'll cut off a certain body part of his. In the end, what they actually want is for Itsuki to act as the girl's personal caretaker. They finally arrive at their destination, and Itsuki is floored. And this is just the Konohana family's vacation home. It already makes his old place look like a literal doghouse. The three of them walk while Shizune explains a few things. This is the main residence of the Konohana family's only daughter. Itsuki gets chills just looking at something so far removed from his own little world. Shizune tells him he'd better get used to it, because he's going to be seeing this every single day from now on. They step into a room to talk with Mr. Kagan, Hinako's father and president of the Konohana group. He notices the exact same thing Shizune already picked up on. He tells Itsuki that his daughter has genuinely gotten attached to him. The little goofball even fell asleep standing up. If she's already this attached to someone she just met, that's a clear sign he's the one meant to be the caretaker she's always needed. To explain what a caretaker actually is, Kagan needs to fill in more of Hinako's backstory. The lights dim, and some recordings start playing on a screen. It's footage from inside Kyu Academy. There, Hinako behaves flawlessly around everyone. In class, she comes across as brilliant. Itsuki gets more and more stunned, so much that he actually asks who that girl in the video even is. Shizune answers, "It's Hinako herself." Yes, the exact same one he's pointing at right now. Seems impossible. Kagan shows that his daughter is fully capable of playing the perfect lady when she's around other people. But as the video keeps rolling, she flat out refuses to go to her next class because all she wants to do is sleep. Kagan says that this, the one Itsuki actually met, is the real Hinako. She turns into this whenever she's not surrounded by a crowd. Total goofball mode. The girl shown on screen was Hinako's last caretaker. A few days ago, she was hospitalized with a stress ulcer and quit right after. The caretaker's job is to operate behind the scenes, making sure this goofy side of Hinako never gets exposed to the public. Kagan really wants Itsuki to take the job. As for pay, 20,000 yen a day, 3 meals, and housing included, he's floored by the number. Kagan, assuming that's too low, immediately bumps it up to 50,000. Except, no, Itsuki was actually expecting something closer to 8,000 a day. Kagan warns him the job is tougher than it looks. Hinako needs to play the perfect lady for the world because she wants to land the best possible marriage. On top of that, the Konohana group is dealing with everything from internal power struggles to pressure from rival companies. It's crucial that she marries well. The caretaker's job is to make sure she's flawless everywhere, from school events to high society functions, and to protect the Konohana brand's image. Itsuki picks his own salary, 20,000 yen, and he starts the very next day. Without a caretaker, Hinako can't even function inside her own house. Kagan gives him one final warning. If Itsuki does anything with his daughter, he's not cutting off any body parts. He's just going to kill Itsuki outright. Shizune leads Itsuki to his room. Everything's already set up, uniform included, hanging right in the closet. And it's not some servant's uniform. It's the actual Kyu Academy uniform. Lucky him. The two of them are even in the same year. Itsuki feels uneasy, way too far beneath everyone to attend a school like this. Shizune hands him his cover resume. It says he's the heir to an IT company. Nothing flashy enough to draw attention, he'll basically stay invisible. But there's still one issue. Can he actually keep up with the advanced coursework there? Shizune says it won't be too rough since his grades are excellent. He's a serious student. He's still nervous about it, and that's exactly why she's here. She's going to train him on his caretaker duties, starting with manuals and reference textbooks. Every single day, Itsuki will spend the time before dinner prepping for the next day's classes. And it's not just academics. He'll also be learning etiquette, manners, and self-defense. The self-defense part worries him a little, but not too much. Itsuki's built some serious strength from all that manual labor. After lessons wrap up, Shizune is going to put his skills to the test. The two square off, and she has Itsuki begging for his life. He's still got a lot to learn. After a completely insane day, he flops onto his bed to catch a break. Except something moves under the covers. It's Hinako, asleep in his bed. He nearly jumps out of his skin. She casually tells him her caretaker's bed is her bed too. Itsuki has no clue what to do, so he flips through the manual for guidance. That's when he gets a text from Yuri, his childhood friend. She'd texted earlier asking if they're walking to school together tomorrow. But with everything going haywire in his life, Itsuki totally forgot to reply. He tries to think of a way to explain and types, "Some stuff came up, and I won't be going to the same school anymore." Yuri's shocked and decides to just call him instead. Itsuki declines, says he's exhausted, and tells her they'll talk another time. Suddenly, Hinako pops up right behind him. She only wants to know who this girl is. He explains she's a childhood friend who goes to the same school. Hinako confiscates his phone to keep the peace and refuses to give it back. Itsuki asks for the phone back in this super formal tone, exactly the way the manual taught him. She hates it and tells him to just go back to being normal. Doesn't matter what Shizune told him to do. Itsuki drops the formal act and goes back to himself, and Hinako lights up. She says she's counting on him, leaving the poor guy totally red-faced. Right after that, she just crashes on the bed without another word. Hinako and Itsuki are heading to the academy with Shizune. The girl didn't even want to leave the house. All she wants is to sleep. 8 more hours, and then she can finally pass out in peace. Nobody can find out that Itsuki is Hinako's caretaker, let alone that he's living in her house, so Shizune drops them off some distance from the school. They have to be extremely careful. Itsuki keeps talking in that overly formal way, and Hinako asks Shizune to let him loosen up a bit. They agree to only do the casual version when it's just the two of them. Hinako is so bored, especially now that they're getting close to school, that she makes a request. She wants him to carry her. Shizune nearly loses it over something that ridiculous and politely explains that this kind of behavior isn't appropriate for a proper lady, but it's just that Itsuki smells really good. Shizune gets curious and even asks to smell him for future reference. Doubt that one's actually happening. When they get out of the car, Shizune hands Itsuki a bag, something to use whenever Hinako acts up, basically a secret weapon. The two say goodbye and walk the rest of the way to school together. Hinako still hasn't switched into her refined lady act, since there's no one nearby. It's like she's got a built-in sensor that detects when people are watching. All right, focus, Itsuki. He's got a job to do, keeping Hinako's image intact. Right in front of him stands the massive Kyu Academy, ridiculously huge. Inside the classroom, Itsuki introduces himself as the new student. He heads to the seat the teacher points out, and along the way notices how chill everyone is, a real laid-back vibe. No applause, no bowing, totally different from his old school. It's math class, and the teacher introduces the material they'll be covering going forward. Itsuki is screwed. This is stuff from the end of junior year, and they're starting it at the beginning of sophomore year. By the end of class, he's already fried, and that was just the first period. Meanwhile, Hinako is surrounded by classmates asking for help with the material. In public, she's flawless. Some guy suddenly walks up to Itsuki, saying it's pretty bold of a newcomer not to greet him first. He starts demanding compensation, and Itsuki is scared out of his mind. A girl shows up and scolds the guy for scaring people for no reason. Turns out it's just their usual bit. The guy's name is Katsuya, she's Karen. Katsuya can tell just by looking that Itsuki's first class was brutal, totally normal for any transfer student. Karen explains some students here come from top-tier schools, but plenty are here purely because of family, like taking over the family business. Those are usually the normal people around campus. Itsuki remembers what Shizune told him. Stay formal, since being a company heir counts as normal at this school. He explains he's the heir to an IT company. Nothing huge. So yeah, he's just a normal person. Exactly what Katsuya and Karen already assumed. Students in the same boat tend to stick together for support. It's rough dropping into a school like this from a regular one. The two of them offer to help Itsuki out since they're normal people too. The kindness is enough to nearly bring the poor guy to tears. He thanks them, way too formally. Katsuya tells him to drop the formal thing. They're classmates after all. Itsuki explains it's just his family's policy, so there's not much he can do about it. Katsuya finally asks the question he's actually been dying to ask. So what's your deal with Hinako? The mood gets heavy. Feels like Itsuki's about to get thrown under the bus depending on his answer. He explains their parents had some kind of connection, so she was kind enough to walk him to school. Katsuya, still looking ready to stab him, asks if she's his fiancée or something. Itsuki denies it instantly. Katsuya visibly relaxes. Because Hinako is basically a full-on celebrity around here. Not only is she top of the class, she's a total knockout too. At lunch, Itsuki follows Hinako to a quiet, secluded spot where she always eats alone. Time to eat on a genuinely nice day. The lunchbox leaves Itsuki stunned. He's never seen food that fancy before. The cafeteria is even fancier, but since there's stuff Hinako doesn't like, she prefers bringing lunch from home. Itsuki asks what she doesn't like to eat, and she starts listing off basically every vegetable in existence. Hinako hates vegetables. She asks him to feed her. He's mortified at first, but calms down and does what she asked. Then she returns the favor by feeding him too. Itsuki is blown away by how good it tastes. Hinako smiles and says that as his owner, she has to feed him. Then she lowers her head and mentions it'd be a problem if he ever got tired of her. Itsuki takes the chance to ask why her last caretaker quit. Hinako doesn't know why. She just knows the caretaker only lasted 2 weeks. The one before that lasted 3. A month, tops, in that role. Itsuki tries to wrap his head around why anyone would walk away from a job with conditions this good. Free housing, meals, 20,000 yen a day, and enrollment at a school like this. Hinako asks, "What about me though?" He doesn't quite follow, so she rephrases, "Don't you want to marry someone rich?" Itsuki has no idea how to respond, but really all she wants is for him not to quit. After a bit, Hinako crashes on his lap. Normally this kind of moment would leave anyone giddy, but for some reason, it just makes Itsuki feel calm. Suddenly his phone rings. It's Shizune. She asks if Hinako's next to him. Itsuki confirms she is, asleep. Shizune says that until he settles into the job, she's going to keep calling to check in during lunch like this. She asks if he's talked to anyone else, and he mentions Karen and Katsuya. Shizune flips through a notebook of student info and tells him which company Karen's family runs. Itsuki is floored. It's one of the top 5 electronics retailers in the country, and she had the nerve to call herself normal. Same deal with Katsuya. His family runs a hugely wealthy company too. Itsuki feels betrayed. Another class goes by, and Hinako's as impressive as ever. Itsuki figures things are fine since she's always surrounded by people. Shizune calls again. Turns out Hinako's student ID probably fell somewhere. There's a big gap between where her tracker chip is and where the one attached to the ID actually is. Based on that, Itsuki guesses it's probably in the bathroom. Shizune tells him to figure out a way to get it back. But how the heck is he supposed to pull that off? Out of nowhere, a girl walks up and asks if he's having trouble with something. Gorgeous, with curly golden hair, she introduces herself as Mirai, the only daughter of the Tenoji group. Itsuki just responds with a flat, "I see." This absolutely infuriates Mirai, who asks if he's ever even heard of the Tenoji group. Since he has zero clue, he bows and apologizes for his ignorance. She's beyond bothered. This is way more than just ignorance. The Tenoji group started in mining and is now the biggest non-ferrous metals manufacturer in Japan. Their scale rivals the Konohana group. Just from his reaction, Mirai can tell he's familiar with the Konohana name, and he confirms it. She practically shakes with resentment. Her rivalry with Hinako runs deep because her own reputation never manages to spread out from under Hinako's shadow. Setting her frustration aside, she asks if he's dealing with some kind of problem. He explains a student ID got left behind in the girls' bathroom. Mirai hands it over, all huffy, and demands to know how the heck a guy even knew it was in there. Itsuki explains the owner asked him to look, so he figured that's where it'd be. He can't reveal whose ID it is, since Mirai clearly despises Hinako. She asks if that doesn't just make him a servant and insists that's not okay. Since he attends this school, he's destined to be a leader someday. If he keeps letting himself get used like this, his future doesn't look very bright. Itsuki says he'll be more careful. Mirai still doesn't see an ounce of confidence in him and tells him to respond with more backbone, which he immediately does. Lastly, she tells him to fix his posture because that's where real self-confidence comes from. She struts off proudly, telling him to look for this beautiful golden hair next time he's in trouble. Without thinking, Itsuki blurts out, "Wait, are you even allowed to dye your hair at this school?" He genuinely believes that hair is dyed. Mirai looks offended and storms off in a huff, swearing on her life that she never dyed her hair, which now everyone can be 100% sure. It's definitely dyed. After one more class, Karen and Katsuya invite Itsuki to a welcome party. Unfortunately, he can't make it today. He needs to get home as soon as possible. Rain check then. Itsuki goes to find Hinako, who's at the pond feeding the fish. He tells her they need to go, but she flat out refuses. Wild. This is the same girl who was dying to get home earlier. Itsuki tries to physically drag her away, but this girl's got some seriously stubborn resistance. Then he remembers the secret weapon Shizune handed him earlier, a bag of chips. Hinako is obsessed with them, and she'll only hand it over if she's willing to leave. It's a temptation she can't possibly resist. Shizune goes to pick up Hinako, then Itsuki, in a separate spot. The first day wiped him out, but things stayed just as tough back home. Prep lessons, etiquette training, self-defense drills. When training wraps up, with Itsuki nearly losing his life in the process, Shizune remarks that he's picking things up shockingly fast. He takes the chance to ask, why has none of her past caretakers lasted more than a month? Shizune explains they were all personally hired by Mr. Kagan, and Hinako never managed to build any trust with them, probably because she found them all way too rigid. This is the first time they've hired someone completely ordinary, with zero ties to the Konohana family. Itsuki heads out exhausted, wondering if he can survive the days ahead, since even day one was this draining. He finds Hinako, who doesn't even get close before catching a whiff of his sweat. Time for a bath, apparently. She grabs his hand and drags him to her princess-style bedroom, and then straight to the bathroom. She starts stripping down, asking if they can bathe together. The two of them get into the tub, and somehow there's a swimsuit already laid out for Itsuki too. The poor guy has to make sure he doesn't look at her. No explanation needed there. To distract himself, he flips through the classmate profiles Shizune gave him. Itsuki asks if she's close with anyone in class. Hinako says no. Even with a crowd of people always around her, none of them are actual friends. He asks if she doesn't want real friends. She smiles and says that for her, having him is already enough. He gets totally flustered. Suddenly, she sits up, turns her back to him, and asks him to wash her hair. Itsuki tries to bail, but ends up talked into it. Hinako tells him she picked him as her caretaker because she likes the way he takes care of her, even if he always assumes he never had a choice in the matter. This catches Itsuki off guard. Honestly, it makes him happy thinking she trusts him. She stands up wanting to take off her swimsuit top, saying it's bothering her, and it's not even that great to wear one in the bath anyway. She strikes a slightly questionable pose and admits she only wore it because Shizune insisted. Itsuki turns away, completely flustered, and suddenly realizes something about what she just said. She told Shizune she was bathing with him, and that's when he finally clocks the terrifying, murderous glare lurking right behind the door. Bath time's over, and Shizune pulls him aside for a talk. She says she's been watching the entire time, worried out of her mind, but she admits he did a good job, and she's already left a fresh change of clothes in the locker room. She also hands him a little bottle of anti-arousal medication, just in case he ever starts feeling attracted to Hinako. Little white lie from Shizune. It's actually just a vitamin supplement. Day 2 of school. Itsuki messes something up right off the bat and ends up sprinting out the door after realizing he forgot the one thing he needed, his actual shoes. He finally finds them, but he's still rushing so he doesn't show up late. He ends up crashing into a girl, and the two of them instantly recognize each other. Itsuki tries to play it off and slip away, but she's not having it. "Aren't you Itsuki?" The poor guy doesn't even know how to lie his way out of it. The girl runs straight at him, dead certain he's the real Itsuki, and tackles him into a hug, sending them both to the ground, bawling on top of him, saying she missed him so much. After that, Itsuki watches, alongside Karen, as this girl plays tennis. Her name's Narika, and she's the best on the team. Famous, not on Hinako's level obviously, but still one of the school's top standout beauties. Except her most defining trait is a certain hostility she seems to radiate toward people. It's genuinely hard to make friends with Narika. Karen mentions there are rumors going around that her family has ties to the Yakuza and all that. Itsuki remembers what Mr. Kagan told him. After digging into his background, they found out there's a girl from the Miyakojima family enrolled at Kyu Academy. Since there shouldn't be any deep connection between them, it wasn't cause for major concern. but Kagan still told him to avoid unnecessary contact. Back to the reunion moment. Narika is crying like a little kid after running into her old friend. It all started years ago, back when they were only 10. Itsuki's parents actually got along fine, despite both being total disasters. But one day, a fight nearly ended in divorce. His mom left home and took him, along with her, to live with her late mother's family, the Miyakojima household. Later, Itsuki found out his grandmother had actually been disowned by that family, but his mom refused to leave anyway. Wandering around the house one day, Itsuki ran into Narika for the first time, training. She noticed little Itsuki standing there and asked who he was. He introduced himself, said he was staying there. Narika made it crystal clear she hates weak people. She'd already heard rumors that his family was a bunch of losers mooching off everyone. So she decided to give Itsuki a job. From that day on, he'd be her personal servant. After that, the two of them were together almost constantly. She'd cry, begging for his help whenever she saw a beetle, cry in his arms whenever the adults scolded her. He genuinely took care of her. Because of that, Narika started seeing Itsuki as way stronger than herself. She wanted to be brave, to become the strongest woman in the Miyakojima family. She told him about her fear of going outside alone. Her own family had convinced her the outside world was dangerous. It was honestly frustrating watching other little girls walk around on their own, feeling weak in comparison, until Itsuki reached out his hand and invited her to walk around outside together. That day, everything felt incredible to Narika. The best day ever, finally feeling truly free. From then on, they started sneaking out together every single day. Except eventually, people found out about their little adventures. And for putting Narika in danger, Itsuki and his mom got banned from the Miyakojima family. That day, Narika watched her best friendship get ripped away from her life, instantly. Today, the two of them have finally reunited. Itsuki tells her to calm down, except now she can't even walk anymore. She's so happy she hurt her hip without even noticing. The two of them head to the nurse's office. Narika's fine. She just needs some rest to feel better. Itsuki's already saying goodbye to head back to class, but she has a hard time letting him go. Doesn't want to be alone. He gives in. Not much choice, really. Narika thanks him for dragging her outside back when they were kids. If it wasn't for that, she'd still feel like a total coward. Well, let's say she hasn't fully shaken the coward thing, but she's making progress. She admits she still doesn't have a knack for making friends. Everything people assume about her is one giant misunderstanding. It's because the Miyakojima family puts huge emphasis on the spirit of martial arts, and she's been trained in it since she was a kid. Because of that tradition, the family's earned a reputation as some kind of fighting clan. Whenever she's around people, the nerves make her face tense up and end up scaring everyone off, which is how she got labeled a delinquent, a Yakuza kid, you name it. She begs Itsuki once again for his help. Shizune calls, and he steps away to answer. She asks where he is, and Itsuki says he's at the nurse's office because a classmate fainted and he went to help. Shizune gets worried, since his location doesn't match up with Hinako's, and tells him to get back to class fast. Helping others is great, but he can't slack on his caretaker duties. He goes back to talk to Narika, who asks how he ended up at this school. Itsuki says it's a long story, and that he needs to go. She tells him to wait, asks if he's going to vanish on her again. He turns around, smiles, and tells her not to worry. They'll see each other again. Narika lights up, hoping that's true, and asks for a head pat. Just like old times, he does it. The door swings open. It's Hinako, demanding to know what the two of them are doing. They both freeze. She says she left class because she started feeling sick, but she still wants an answer to her question. So what exactly are you two doing here? Itsuki explains he found Narika collapsed in the hallway and brought her to the nurse. Hinako asks if she hit her head, since she caught him petting her. Hinako's already seeing red. Narika starts explaining. They've known each other since childhood. Hinako does not like that. She continues. He even lived at her house and everything. Hinako hates it. Now she says Itsuki used to take care of her. Hinako despises it. Narika invites him to come back and live with her, asks if they can go back to how things used to be. Hinako answers on his behalf, proudly announcing that he's working at her house. Itsuki tries to figure out why she just blurted out a secret like that. Narika's completely thrown off. This is a bombshell. He confirms he's her daily personal care assistant. Narika, hurt, tells Hinako that's not fair. Hinako replies that she has no clue what happened in the past, but right now, Itsuki lives at her house. End of story. Since Narika's clearly fine now, she calls him back to class. After all, she's recovered too. The two of them leave the nurse's office. Truth is, Hinako was never actually feeling sick. She just went looking for Itsuki. He apologizes for making her worry and asks why she said that stuff to Narika, since their whole arrangement was supposed to be a secret. Hinako admits it was just to needle Narika a little. Itsuki wonders if that's jealousy. But honestly, he can't believe someone as clueless as Hinako would actually feel jealous over him. She asks, "Whose caretaker are you?" He answers, "Yours." Hinako's satisfied, all good now. Then she remembers they're about to get scolded by Shizune, and Itsuki panics, worried he's about to get fired. They're already heading home. Shizune says Itsuki isn't getting let go. Hinako's just as much to blame here. She already knew Narika was his relative, but had no idea they actually knew each other personally. She's going to come up with an excuse for him to give the girl and smooth over the whole mess. Shizune then turns to Hinako and asks why she was clinging to him like a koala for that long. Hinako just asks Itsuki to pat her head, and he does. The next day, everyone's gathered for tea, a welcome celebration. Itsuki's never done a formal tea thing in his life, let alone with people this high profile. It all started that morning, when Karen and Katsuya invited him to a get-together after class. This time he actually asked Shizune for permission and she said yes, said he could bring whoever he wanted. At lunch, Hinako announces she's coming too. She calls Shizune to ask permission, and Shizune says yes, purely because Itsuki's going to be there. Afterward, he goes to find Narika. Since she wants to make friends, this is the perfect opportunity. The two step outside to talk. She says she hasn't forgiven the betrayal. She really did want to move back in with him. The words slip out before she can stop them, and she turns bright red with embarrassment. Itsuki repeats the cover story Shizune told him to use, says he was adopted, and his adoptive father runs a company that's friendly with the Konohana group. Thanks to that connection, he gets etiquette lessons at their house. Lastly, he tells her she can't share this with anyone. After all that explaining, he invites her to the tea gathering. She's overjoyed. Of course she's coming. After that, Itsuki sprints through the halls trying not to be late. He runs into Mireille, who's already heard about his connection to Hinako. Itsuki asks if she dislikes her. Mireille, intrigued, says she wouldn't exactly call it dislike. It's more that Hinako keeps overshadowing her in looks and academics. At least, that's how things play out in Mireille's head. She keeps rambling on, making it very clear just how bothered she is by the whole thing. Itsuki invites her to the tea gathering after class. At tea time, all three beauty queens he invited are gathered together. Karen and Katsuya are struggling to wrap their heads around how something like this happened in just a few days of Itsuki being at the school. Well, it just did. Everyone introduces themselves. Narika's the only one who's a complete nervous wreck. She even trips over her words, poor thing. Itsuki tells her she doesn't need to be so nervous, and she explains their childhood connection. He takes the opportunity to shut down all those rumors about her. Really, Narika just struggles with conversation and that's it. She tears up again, but now everyone's actually talking to her. What a relief. They chat about how everyone spends their free time. Hinako says she spends hers snacking and studying. Mireille corrects Itsuki's posture again. Katsuya asks what regular schools are like since the customs are so different. What kind of customs does he even know? He brings up the 3-second rule and demonstrates it live. If food drops on the floor and you pick it up and eat it within 3 seconds, it's totally fine. Hinako tries the rule too, even after he specifically asks everyone not to copy it. Could have been a health disaster, but somehow everyone just ends up having fun with it anyway. By the end of the day, they all say their goodbyes. Mireille even tells Hinako it was fun despite everything, and tells Itsuki he looks way more attractive when he keeps his back straight. Narika has to walk home since her car's stuck in traffic, so Itsuki decides to walk her there himself, and even Hinako's fine with that. The two of them walk and chat about the day. It was amazing. This was the day that changed Narika's whole life. At the end of it all, Itsuki really is her hero, but she still can't help feeling like it's unfair, because deep down, what she really wants is to move back into his house again.